Good morning, everyone. My name is William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach, and I want to welcome you to Shortcuts for Your Soul Monday edition. And today is going to be a really exciting session with all of us. I have a being here goes by the name of Dr. Arris, A-R-R-I-S. I've never experienced him before, but his clarity and his compassion and his kindness are really pronounced for me. He wants to talk about the freedom and power of empaths. And this is a subject that I know has come up in many different circles around the planet in these different various groups, but he wanted to specifically talk about how empaths are actually a great source of human liberation right now. The focus for empaths has been on themselves. They've been made to feel like something's wrong with them. They innately feel that they're alienated from the world because they're so highly sensitive to the emotional fields and thoughts of other people and often interpret them as their own. So we're going to get into that with him. But first, before we get into that, today is the day we announce the winner of the free reading with me for this month from my Patreons. So if you're one of my Patreons, the winner of this month's free reading is Carolyn Tagliani. And Carolyn, you will get an email from me, and you can arrange and book your reading with me at your earliest convenience. So congratulations, Carolyn. You won yourself a free reading. Really excited about that. Also looking forward to my patrons only live event on the 7th of this month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be getting into a process of quantum healing, which will be very interesting too. And we got several ascended masters that will be joining us on that. The power of empaths. This is really exciting. The empathic community has been very, very, very strong on the planet for many, many centuries, and it has been often attacked. Empaths have often been considered crazy. They have been viewed as pariahs in society often. They find themselves isolating, not because there's something wrong with them, but because there's something right with them that only a handful of people can comprehend and understand. This Dr. Arris said he worked with a lot of empaths and formed a group in the 1800s. He formed a group in the United States of empaths that actually worked at developing their empathic abilities to alter and change the flow of thought and emotion from being directed inwardly only to being able to utilize thought and emotion as a mechanism of influencing social change. And this blows my mind. Influencing social change. That's what empaths are able and capable of doing, to influence and cultivate social change. What we don't have in our society today is anything in our schools, anything in our medicine that addresses the concerns of empaths effectively. Recognizing that empaths are those who have a very clear and open channel of awareness, of energy, of thoughts, of emotions that can seem to them to be overwhelming, but what we have discovered is in reality that these empaths can have a great influence upon humanity when they understand the mechanism is the other way around. In other words, they're not here to be merely sponges for absorbing other people's thoughts and emotions, which are mostly uncontrolled, but that empaths have the capability to focus consciousness in such a fashion as to induce changes in the minds and emotional fields of other individuals to a positive movement. That was their design, to come here and influence this human condition intentionally. But your educational system says, no, there's something wrong. You cannot control your emotions. You cannot control your thoughts. You need a medicine for that. No, you do not need a medicine. You need to be taught that thought and emotion are tools that you are utilize to implement in change. Thought and emotion are your tools for implementing change in this physical world. Not to be subjective to the thoughts and emotions coming at you, but to implement change in thoughts and emotions and project those energies outward. The idea that you cannot control your emotions, the idea that you cannot control your thoughts, the idea that you cannot control the functions of your body is the great lie that has been perpetuated against empaths for many thousands of years. The idea and truth is that you can select and choose thoughts deliberately and intentionally. You can alter and change emotional energy deliberately and intentionally. You can alter and change your physiology deliberately and intentionally. There is nothing wrong with you, dear empath. There is nothing wrong with you. You are a light that has ability to take a conduit from source and project it into this world to initiate changes to a higher vibrational movement from the lower vibrational one that has been dominating human civilization for far, far too long. You want to understand the process for liberating yourself from these so-called uncontrollable thoughts and emotions, which are not yours. It's most of the people on this planet that can't control their own thoughts and emotions. You are just ultra sensitive to that, and you often interpret your sensitivity as a flaw in your own character and makeup, and this is false. This is absolutely false. What you need is to understand that thought and emotion are mechanisms, devices, instruments for altering conditions of matter and consciousness here. And that you, with your awareness of them, can shift and change them deliberately and intentionally. For many of you, this requires training, a simple training, although the application of it will meet resistance from the existing conditioning that you've received from your society, from your world, even from your friends and family, the conditioning that you've received, that there might be something wrong with you because I feel this way, or something wrong with you because I think this way. No. You just have to understand that your thoughts and your feelings are qualities that you can alter and change deliberately, intentionally. They are mechanisms that you can alter and change. He's saying when he ran his group in the 1800s, the first thing he began to teach empaths, these were beings he found in asylums. He found them in asylums. They were considered crazy by society because their emotions were so overwhelming. Their thoughts were so overwhelming. They couldn't control. They couldn't function in normal society. And it wasn't that they couldn't function in normal society. Their function was normal, but society was abnormal. Society did not recognize the attributes of what an empath is. It saw those that were functioning outside the framework of what was normal, hearing voices, often the voices and thoughts of the subconscious fields of other people around them. Many of you empaths that may be listening to this right now, please understand that you pick up the thoughts and emotional fields of those around you. You've allowed the communication to go only one way. And so I simply began a process of training empaths to move the communication flow in a new direction. Instead of it coming from the outside in, I trained them to move the communication from the inside out, to formulate clearly defined ideas and emotional fields that would be preferable to what they were observing in the world. The vibrations of joy and kindness and compassion, playfulness, curiosity, exploration, experimentation, to stretch their definition of thought and emotion deliberately and intentionally. They began to learn that they could actually influence social conditions, even wordlessly, to become conscious that they could select and choose a line of thought or a line of feeling consciously. As awareness, they could choose this. As they began to do, they found they could influence social change in a much more profound way. The appalling conditions of what we called asylums then did not lend itself in any degree to liberating any empathic beings from their suffering. Rather, it confined and contained them maliciously. And there were those that understood the meaning and power of empathic abilities, that you could formulate intentional thoughts, you could formulate and cultivate new emotional qualities beyond the confines of what your environment would have taught you, and then to utilize those constructions and to put them out to the world. And so as you learn to understand that your thought and your emotion are very distinct mechanisms over which you, as the, I'll use the term divine awareness in that body, that you as the divine awareness in that body can alter and change. It does not matter where the source of the thoughts and emotions are originating from. What matters is you recognize that thought and emotion is amenable to your capacity to direct your attention in specific and precise and deliberate ways. Additionally, in training the thoughts and the emotions to be as you would instruct them to be, there was also the process of teaching you how to align your body to you, to teach your body to not react and respond to the errant thoughts and emotions of others around you. You often interpret these thoughts and emotions as something that is being imposed upon you. And in one sense, they are. In another sense, you allow it. The process of deliberately realizing those thoughts are not who I am. And it was that distinction we found in working with many of you, that distinction of your awareness, recognizing those thoughts are strange, those are weird, those are scary, those aren't right. Your awareness that those emotions don't feel right. And it was not that there was anything wrong. It was simply that you were perceiving the thoughts and emotional fields of others in this physical dimension that have little or no control over what they think on an unconscious level. Empathic you are, and your ability to tune into the hidden chambers of the collective unconsciousness is well documented. We demonstrated in many experiments how empaths could walk into a room and literally change the mood of a room deliberately and intentionally by formulating specific thoughts and certain qualities of corresponding emotions that relate to that precise thought. And then to project the energy of that into the space of that place. And there were countless validations of that process. In allowing yourself to become aware that your thoughts and your emotions are not all yours, that many of them are what you have been picking up from the people you pass on the street or your family members who are watching a TV show or a news channel. You can pick up thoughts and emotions from many sources, but learning to distinguish between those thoughts, those emotions, and yourself as awareness is the process of becoming free, liberated to do the work that you came here to do, to extend deliberately and consciously the types of qualities of energy needed for this collective experience of humanity at this time. The process of training is somewhat simple in description, a little more difficult in practice, but every single one of you are capable of doing this. The moment you're able to make a distinction between thoughts in your mind and emotions in your field, you place yourself in the position of putting your hands on the wheel and learning to direct rather than being subjective. The flow of information going from the outside in shifts from going from the inside out, where you then move into the process of deliberately articulating qualities of being, qualities of your being into this world, which in turn affect and influence others in it. I wanted you to know this today because the mechanisms of what you call psychology and psychotherapy and medicine recognize that through many manipulative practices, they can convince you that there's something wrong with you, that you need a medicine, a pill, or a drug to control your thoughts and emotions. And because of the level of imbalance that your negative emotional processes that you've absorbed have had on your system, it would appear to be true to you. But please understand, the moment you are able to maintain the body, the thought, and the emotional field in a specific line and sustain that, the system, the whole biology, the whole communication apparatus then stops going from reception to broadcasting. Many of you are stuck in reception. And so you pick up this thought or this anger or this rage or this fear or this judgment or this guilt or this shame. You pick all these things up. And so communication for many empaths is one way from the external world to the internal world, when originally it was designed to go from the internal world to the external world as a projection of love, as an extension of your divinity, as it is true for all of you. But those that you call empaths are far more sensitive to the flows of thought and emotion than the vast majority of humans who are limited to a finite personality for the most part and are not privileged enough to find the information or opportunities to gain a different perspective on who they've been conditioned to think they are supposed to be. My goal today is very simple: to bring your awareness to the understanding that there is a freedom and a power in being what you call an empath. There is a freedom and a power in being what you call an empath. And that freedom comes in recognizing the distinction between communication that flows inward, that you interpret as your own, and the communication of information that you can deliberately select and choose in your mind. You can fill your mind with information that you choose. The idea that you cannot control your thoughts, the idea that you cannot control your emotions, the idea that you cannot control your body is a big lie. It's been a big lie for many, many, many centuries. They often placed you in places separate from general society. And these days, they predominantly use forms of isolation in the forms of drugs as a way of keeping you out of your awareness of who you really are and what your capabilities can be in influencing human collective unconsciousness towards a paradigm of change that would be closer to representing love than the paradigm of fear that we see dominating this world today. Wow. He's saying we successfully created multiple changes in various cities throughout the world when we exported what we did in the United States. We found that the level of manifestation and changes in social conditions could become quite pronounced. Even with only a handful of individuals, an entire city could be influenced. But that influence could only come when the individuals were fully cognizant of the reality that they could alter and change flows of energy and information from coming inward to going outward. They essentially became broadcasters of particular qualities of consciousness rather than receptors exclusively of qualities of consciousness from this world. The ability that you have to realize this is innate in every one of you. And every one of you, we know, has been in the position where you find yourself going, this is not me. This is not my thoughts. These are not my emotions. Because you're identifying the truth, but you've had no system to validate that, because everybody tells you it's all in your own head. Well, it is in your own head, but it's not all yours. There's a communication flow of information that goes from the body out and from the body in. And if you pay close attention, you'll find much of what you find is coming in and very little is going out. But when you begin to formulate a deliberate and conscious change in your thought process, your emotional process will begin to align to that, and your body will too. In our training program, it was very simple, learning to still and quiet your mind and your body. But many of you were taught, oh, you cannot control this. It's beyond your control. You can't see your thoughts, but you can. You just don't see them with your eyes. You can't see your emotions, but you can feel them, so they're real. But you can change them. They're not outside of your ability to alter and change them. In your willingness to study how to still and quiet your mind, you will find liberation. You may continue to find that through your conventional means, but that has simply caused terrible problems to your physiology, some of these substances and chemicals that others have given you to manage the very qualities of emotion and thought that you're capable of changing yourself. When I came to this one today, he was very reluctant to let me through because some of the information that I'm sharing with you would be considered very threatening and controversial to your existing systems of control. But I'll say to you very simply, your thoughts are not necessarily your thoughts. Your emotions are not necessarily your emotions. When you begin to make that distinction, you will find great relief when you realize, oh, that thought is not mine. That's coming from somewhere else. That emotion, I don't know where that's originating, but that's not my emotion. Then you begin to consider, who are you? And I would say when you discover that you are this beautiful being, an extension of love, I'll use the term the divine, that you're an extension of that. You're not an extension of fear. There are extensions of that, but once you learn to distinguish between that which you are and that which you are not, then the vibrations of fear will have very little or no influence over you once you alter the conditions in your own mind willfully. And you must do this willfully. It cannot be done for you. No matter what pill or drug, you cannot learn to manage your emotions unless you do it willfully, unless you take the pill or the drug to maintain it. But then there are side effects, we know, to that too. It is a practice, and it is something you must learn. Study some of your mentors today. You have teachers teaching you how to still your body and quiet your mind. Go to them. Go to anything where they teach you that your mind is an instrument that you control, that your body and emotions are instruments that you can regulate. When you learn to run the mechanism, you can then drive the vehicle. And many of you are sitting in the passenger seat of your own life, hoping that whoever's driving will not run you into a wall. And that's what you hope with your conventional medicines, is that you will be safely driven around. Hopefully they will not drive you into a wall, but I know from what I've observed thus far that many of you suffer not being who you are by being who you are not chemically. This is a process. This is not something that is done lightly. It must be chosen consciously and deliberately. You must be willing to realize that your freedom and your power is yours to assert and cultivate. The world as it is not currently designed to cultivate it for you, nor can it. But you yourself can find mechanisms in this world that will teach you the distinction between that which you are, that what is thought, and that which is emotion, and what you use these for. You want to shift the flow of communicative energy from being bombarding you to you now are generating a signal outward. You're generating a vibration externally that influences rather than being subjective to the mad influences of this world today. And there are many mad influences. There were in my biological time as well, but there were other levels of freedom that existed that do not exist now. You are bombarded by the world around you, and it gives you its interpretation of who you are supposed to be. And you can accept that from your family, from your friends, from your medias, but you will not find freedom because you are freedom. It is your nature to be free. And in that process of deliberately learning to use the mechanism that you came to utilize while you were in this expression, you will find your freedom. The work is simple. When you are realigned in the peace of your own being, you will know what you have to offer this world. But you cannot offer this world what has been given you. And I speak to you, the empath, that knows something's not quite right. And it's not me. So I'm going to make a shift in my awareness to make a distinction between the flow of information coming in and the flow of information I want to broadcast. And there's some confusion for some of you, for you think that the flow that has come in is the flow that is who you are, and it's not. There is a distinction. All fear is based in a lie. He says that process of liberation, once you experience the first, he's calling it the gaps. Once you experience the first few gaps, of peace, where you feel, wow, my thoughts, I can choose my thoughts. Wow, these emotions are not mine. These are what I'm picking up from others. When you start to create gaps where you realize and experience yourself as separate and distinct from what you are receiving, now you move into the position of beginning to clear this space in your own head again, of evicting the unwanted people and beings and thoughts in your mind, in kicking them out so that you can restore your house to its original splendor, that you may do the work that you came here to do, to extend that light, to extend that goodness. Yes. I'm just telling him, he's just saying yes, because I was reluctant to let him come through, because this is the whole medicine thing was, for me, is like a bit challenging, because I have my own personal opinions about it. But he said, no, there was time for people to become aware that you cannot medicate your power away. He says you can temporarily, but the temporary is always creates more suffering, not less. Wow. Let's take some questions and answers. Hello from Pennsylvania. Good morning, Kelly. Hello, Bethany. Hi, Allison. Hello, Dara. Yeah, congratulations, Carolyn. I'll get in touch with you today. Oh, thank you, Blaine. Hi, Trinity. Question from Trinity. Do you have a message of guidance for Lynette? I don't know why. I'm getting a clear image of laying back, putting her feet up. Lay back, put your feet up, and relax. It's going to be okay. Put your feet up, relax. It's going to be okay. Rest in that awareness. Rest in that awareness. Thank you. Yes, that's correct, Joshua. Great statement. Animals, Joshua brings up a good point here that I want to address. He said, animals sense things through the same way empaths do, so it's not an evolutionary advancement. Most people shut it off to function in our world. Take a pet to a busy workplace, and see what happens. When the animal is trained, and my daughter trains service dogs, and these service dogs are so effectively trained, that animal dog, you can take it into a busy street, you can take it to an airport, you can have it standing behind its master with an aircraft running beside it. It will not be disturbed. Your body is an animal body. Yeah, I know. Your body, sorry, just saying, make it forceful. Your body is an animal body, and it can be trained to remain still and quiet no matter what's going on around you. It can be trained like an animal, like a dog or cat. You're absolutely right, Joshua. The body is like an animal, and it receives communication. That's how it survives. That's how our body survived all these billions of years, is how it responded to communication it received. But now we're here at a place, he says, he's saying we're at a place now where you must understand that the assertion of your will is greater than the assertion of that which you've acquired. Your body is amenable to your will. It will require some discipline when you consider that the body has had tens of millions of years of surviving and thriving in that fashion, and you suddenly jump into it and say, oh, we're going to change everything. There will be some resistance. But I encourage you that your body is as easily trained as a dog. It is as easily trained as a dog, but you must be persistent in your training of it. Wow, that's a great comment, Joshua. Hi, Sonny. Hello, Benjamin. Hi, Carolyn. Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Sonny, Tanya, Earth Angel, hi to all. Yes, in the 1800s. Dr. Arris, a beautiful soul. He's so gentle. Oh, man. He's so gentle. I like when the doctors are gentle like this. His sense of compassion is profound. Yeah. I just asked him, why did he come here? And he said he was sent by the angel Michael, told him to come here. The angel Michael told him to come here at that time to begin to liberate, plant the seeds of this awareness for those that were ready to do service. Empaths are here to give light. But what's happened is our civilization has convinced them that what they perceive and hear, because empaths will often hear guidance from angelic realms and angelic beings as easily as they can hear vibrations from dark beings, because they've not been trained into how to keep their awareness focused on selecting what thought and what emotional energy you'll align to deliberately, right? Very important. Question from Blaine for Dr. Arris. How do I apply your teaching to the finance community I speak to each day? He's laughing. He's saying it is no different there. They must recognize that the emotions that they have connected to money are simply that which was imposed on them from their environment. There is much pain and suffering aligned to this creative process that you humans have manifested called money, and your fear and your uncertainty around it must be released in order for your fear and uncertainty to no longer exist as a part of that process. The liberation of fear of any kind is to align yourself to love. It is very simple. If you make decisions from any emotional platform, you are going to create a result. Whether that emotion is love or fear, you are going to create a change in the conditions of what you experience as matter. So I would encourage those that you work with to, before they begin to align themselves to an awareness, to an energy of peace, of joy, of excitement, and allow their decisions to come from there. But if they find themselves wavering towards any negative qualities, that will not prove to be very fruitful for them at all. Simultaneously, they may detach themselves from even the positive aspects of emotion and simply say, I'm going to make money. This is not about how I feel. I'm just going to create more money. And then you can remove the emotional component, which will also have its benefits. There are many different ways. There is no one way. A question from Kelly. My son Kyle is looking for a different job. Does Spirit have any suggestions to give him where to look? Yes, I don't know who this is. This is a female guardian angel he has, and she's saying, tell him to choose the job he wants. To not just look for any job, to choose the job he wants and give it his whole focus. But he must choose the job he wants. He cannot keep running around like this. She's saying he's got to stop doing this, going from door to door. Go to the job he wants. He knows what it is. She says he knows what it is, but he keeps believing he can't do it, that he's not good enough, that he doesn't know enough. Tell him to stop that. Tell him to stop that. He is good enough. And the people that will take him in will want to teach him because he wants to learn. Wow. Thank you so much, Kelly. Love that. Where are we? Okay, here we are. Question from Sunny. The thoughts I have about someone after sensing his energy fields right and not right in some ways. What is right? And in this, he's saying, please understand that as an empathic being, aware of your ability to be so sensitive to things, that you came here to formulate a giving of light, not to become subjective to darkness. In order for you to make that distinction, you must understand that you have to become aware, first and foremost, that you are not the thought, you are not the emotion, you are not here to receive, you are here to give your light, to give your playfulness, to give your curiosity, to pursue the expressions of love and joy in whatever form that takes as your passion, as your work. But you are not simply a sponge to take in all of the suffering and errant thinking and uncontrolled emotions of others. You are here to generate a quality of consciousness and transmit that to the world deliberately and intelligently, consciously. If you were able to do it automatically, it would have already happened by now. This you must choose. It is the one thing that your creative intelligence ensured that you must choose, and that is all you can do. You can only choose. So choose to be an expression of thought and emotion that you would like to see the world embracing, rather than being the doormat for all of the emotions and thoughts flowing around you all of the time. Thank you so much. Question from Tanya. Have been drawn to animal rescue videos lately, and when I meditate, animals look back at me. Does the animal kingdom have a fifth to communicate to me today? Well, understanding your role and relationship to your body is what I get first, Tanya. Understanding your role and your relationship with your body. That it needs, your body is needing certain things that you're not giving it. I'm getting like exercise, like really meaningful exercise. The muscles deep inside. Yeah, your body wants you to rescue it. Your body wants you to rescue it by taking proper care of it. Yeah, really deep. You want to get deep, exercise the deep ligaments and muscles, and you'll start to feel the difference. The dreams will change to ones of excitement. And yes, you will start to bring more animals into your life. Because once an animal knows that you love this animal, it will come to you. That's why, yeah, if you love your body, animals are attracted to you. When you really love your body and honor it and cherish it, you attract more animals. It's just natural. I should find that picture. Question from Jonah. How to soften the hard noises of loud, sharp screams. It's like electric shock sometimes. Oh my goodness. I'm very cognizant of that. And over the last couple of years, when they started having me to meditate in a greater degree and intensity, one of the things I can do that's been very fun that I've learned is to literally to realize that the noises, it's not the noises. The noises are disturbing you because you're focusing upon them. But you can be aware of them and not captivated by them. So what I've learned over the last couple of years with their guidance is I can literally sit and I can have fire trucks running down the street. I've been doing this last week now, leaving my windows open because we're in downtown Toronto. And they said, leave the windows open and just listen to the space between all the sounds and pay attention to the space. What was really exciting for me about that is as I became aware of the cars and the trucks and the people and the noises, and I just kept my attention on the space, I wasn't disturbed or distracted by any of them. I highly recommend that. When they show me that, and I've been doing that, it's amazing. You know, you can hear the garbage trucks banging outside, but I'm not distracted or disturbed by any of that stuff anymore. So try that. Listen to the space between the noises, right? It's very liberating. Thank you for that. Question from Dion. Is there a message for my son? It's his birthday today. Much love and gratitude, William. There's this song playing in my head right now. It's coming. Can I turn my attention to your son? I get this song. What a day for a daydream. Yeah, it's a song from a group called Loving Spoonful. What a day for a daydream. What's that mean? Why are you giving that song? Take it easy, relax, enjoy. Yes, enjoy the day. It's not about what you're going to get. It's about what you are going to be today. Cool. It's not about what you're going to get. It's about what you're going to be today. Interesting. Thank you so much. Great question. Vertical Connections asking, I always had an obvious sensation in the body where I knew people are authentic or not. What response system is this? That's again, that's your awareness tuning into their subconscious field. He's saying empaths are not separate from the subconscious mind as most people are. Empaths are above and below. They can tap into both worlds. The one in the subconscious field is vastly more complex in terms of the amount of information and emotional qualities that it harnesses and holds and moves through it. Many of you find yourself stuck down in that field, but the distinction is simply that you are aware of that movement between the field of yourself and the other or others. You can dip your toes into that, and many of you do unconsciously, and find yourselves lost in that vast motion of uncontrolled thought. Yes. If you are able to become more conscious of that reality and realize that it is not simply becoming aware of their intentions, but you can become intimately aware of their thoughts. You can become intimately aware of their past. You can become intimately connected to their qualities of emotion, their fantasies, their desires. They can influence you when you go down there. And this has been difficult for some empaths. Some empaths find themselves stuck down in there, hearing the insane thoughts and emotions of other people that have these fantasies they're cut off from, or they watch a particular thing, or they hear a particular thing, and it's in the field, and you find yourself getting caught in that. Do not get caught in that. You must stand on the banks of the river. You must watch it and not go into it. Yes. Master Jesus often says, stilling, he calls it stilling. Master Jesus calls that process sitting, what he just called standing on the riverbank. Master Jesus calls stilling the waters, where you literally are aware of thoughts and you're aware of emotions, and you can literally just bring stillness to them. Yeah, thank you. You can literally bring stillness to thoughts and emotions with your attention. Just focus on stillness. And that's called stilling the waters, right? But what Dr. Arris is saying is literally standing on the banks and watching the flow. And you're like, oh, there's a flow. Look at that flow. Look at that fear going by. Look at that anger going by. Look at that fantasy going by. And he's saying once an empath can make the distinction between what they're aware of and what thoughts are going on, they start to make a return to who they are as a sentient being separate from the confines of the mind-body mechanism. Cool. Thank you for that question. I am asking, it can feel contrived or forced to conjure up feelings of love when in low vibe. Can you speak to the contrived feeling? He's saying when you understand who you are as separate and distinct from all of that stuff, the very nature of what you are, the very purity of your being, and this is true for all souls in this world, but particularly for empaths, it is important that you understand that what you are as awareness is separate, unique, and distinct from the predetermined ideas and information about this world that you have stored in your body and mind. Your ability to rise above, you will know the purity of yourself if all of the disturbances and distractions in your mind could turn off like this, and they can. You would know this vibration called peace. And this vibration called peace is what you are. And yet that peace can become an extension of joy. You can become an extension of joy. You can become an extension of love. You can become an extension of playfulness. You get to choose in that place of awareness, whereas in the structure of your acquired thoughts and emotions, you do not have that same choice available in the same fashion. You must then remember you have that choice, which is what many of you struggle with. You believe that the thoughts and overwhelming emotions going on are you, and so you find yourself like you're in water without a way to stay afloat. And that is not because you can't stay afloat. It's because you think that you are in the water. You think you are the emotion. You think you are those thoughts. But once you make the distinction of yourself as the awareness observing those thoughts, the awareness observing those emotions, then you begin to climb out of the water up onto the shores of the banks of that river, that ocean, that sea. Thank you. Question from Binky. Hi, Binky. Is there any guidance or message for me? I don't know. Somebody's showing me an apple. They're showing me a large apple. Why are you showing me the apple? Living. Eat this. Is it something in the apple? Yeah. If you can, they're saying, whoever this is, they're saying, show me a giant apple. And again, can you tell them directly? You need to eat. You need to eat. You need to eat. I don't know what that means, but hopefully that means something to you, Binky. Yes. Question from Patricia. I don't know if you're new here. Whenever you have a question, always write the word question first so that I know it's an actual question. They'll guide me sometimes to see things. But yeah, remember to write question and then your question. So Patricia's saying, my son, his girlfriend, and their rescue dog are staying with me until their new place is ready. Oh, this is right on for me. Okay, got it. Sorry. That's awesome. I called in late. I think we're almost done. I understand. Question from Tanya. I asked earlier, can I get guidance on frequencies to use when meditating? How can she do that? When you are able to distinguish yourself clearly from your body and your emotions and your thoughts, you are the frequency you're seeking. In the liberation that you feel stepping out of the confines of what has been your error in perception, in believing that the thoughts and emotions of everybody and everything around you are yours, and you step outside of that busyness, the vibration that you will feel, and you pay attention to how you feel in that vibration of being undistracted, undisturbed, and you pay attention and you rest in that, and you go deeper into that, you will access the frequencies that you are seeking to have us tell you when you are it. But you must step outside of the noisy room to find out what is outside of the noisy room. And once you step out there, you will go, this is good. And in my work with empaths, I found that when they were able to do that, the joy and the liberation that they inevitably felt, realizing that they were both the agent of their peace and the imprisoner of their suffering, they found freedom. When they realized they had the choice. They have the choice to be free or to not be free. But first you must discern deliberately from the thoughts and emotions of others, the thoughts and emotions that you have been conditioned to believe are yours, and rediscover that you are something very different than what you've been made out to be by this world. Thank you. Well, I think we're about done, folks. I'm going to take one more question. Yes, two questions actually. Vanessa, I don't know who this is, but they're telling me to tell you, stop looking back at that. They're saying, stop looking back at that. It's not that far behind you. Stop looking back at it so that you can go forward. Stop looking back. Who are you? This is a very strong male figure. They're saying, stop looking back at that. I don't know what that is, but they're saying, stop looking back. It's not that far behind you. It feels like it's about 8 months, but stop looking back at that. Binky is asking, never be sorry, right? You know, there's other ways you can get questions answered here. You can use the super chat feature here, and you can use the super chat, and it'll prioritize your question too. Sorry, are there any messages from my dad? Wow. He's saying that he wishes, yeah, that you could be there. He's showing me a camping place, like some sort of a table that you guys sat and you were looking out on a lake, and he had his arm around you, and he said he wishes to communicate that love to you now. That was then, where you could feel how I loved you as I do. To remember that now. But it's beautiful, beautiful lake. It's so still and quiet there. And there's an occasional loon going on, but he's there's such a closeness there. And he's wanting that to be felt by you now. Wow, that was some time ago. Yeah, so remember that. Yeah. Last question from Deanne. Any advice on ringing in the ears? Oh, wow. You're getting ascension symptoms too, eh? Let me ask about that. Ringing in the ears. What can this one do? Don't get caught in the sensation of the ringing. In fact, allow yourself to feel what is the vibration that's being communicated to you. Many of you will find that if you feel what is being communicated to you, you will find that that ringing will not be so present, because once you start to become aware of what we're trying to get through to you, what we're trying to give you as information, awareness and vibration, once you become aware of that, you will become liberated from the symptoms. You'll open that hearing up, because you're trying to hear, but you do not know you're trying to hear. You still think it's a symptom of something with your body, not aware that your body is actually responding to information that we're seeking to transmit to you. So please allow yourself to feel what we offer you. We emphasize feel what we're seeking to offer you, not the way your body is interpreting it, but what the feeling is there. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. There we go. And just close this off. So guys, I want to say thank you, everybody, for coming out today. It's been amazing. I want to thank Dr. Arris for being here. I'm going to actually see if I can find out where this being lived in the States. But it's Dr. Arris, A-R-R-I-S, the mid-18th century. 1850s, 1860s in there. And he worked with empaths. And it was done in secret, because many of the people that he worked with were considered insane by normal social standards, and they were considered insane, right? He said they were high-level empaths that were picking up all of the anger and the fear and the frustrations of people around them, and they interpreted it as their own. So it was done fairly quietly. Again, the state, Oklahoma, has just popped up in my head too, so I don't know. Find out. Check into that. I want to wish all of you a wonderful, joyful day. If you want to support this work, you can become a member of my Patreon page, patreon.com/William Michael Forbes. And again, I want to congratulate Carolyn for winning the free reading with me this month. And I look forward to seeing my patrons on the 7th of May for our Patreon Live only event. It's going to be a healing event, so it'll be a lot of fun. We'll be bringing some ascended beings through to do some healing work with all of us. Much love to everybody. Have yourselves a wonderful, joyful day, and thank you for tuning in. I will see you on Wednesday at this edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. Bye for now.